Ramesh, we are live.
Okay, great.
And Dr. Meenakshi, I will copy this link on the ESRAG site also.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ramesh, will start at 6?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a page of one story.
I'm starting, Ramesh.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, all. Today is World Water Day, and when you come to water, excuse me, can we ask everyone else to mute? Thank you. When you think of water, you think of primarily fresh water, and good evening. I'm Meenakshi. I'm the chair for the chapter of ESRAG South Asia, and it's our privilege to bring this webinar to you along on behalf of ESRAG, which is the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, Water Sanitation and Hygiene Rotary Action Group, the SDG Chopal, which is a multi-stakeholder national flagship initiative of SDGs awareness, which is being led by the Nagrik Foundation, and Rotary clubs of Capital City, of Vibrance, Just a Drop, to name a few who have also collaborated on this project today by bringing you a webinar with this year's theme called Valuing Water. Valuing water basically means recognizing and considering all the benefits provided by water, including economic, social, and ecological dimensions. If you are able to realize these benefits of these three dimensions, there's a significant potential to look at systemic change with water valuation. Currently, it is mainly economic, driving the decision-making process to ensure that freshwater sources are preserved and allocation reaches where it's equitable, productive, and also environmentally sustainable for use and consumption. Today, we have a panel of distinguished speakers from different agencies with you here, and they will share how valuing water is a central theme and cannot be looked from just one perspective, but when you apply an bringing the economic and social and environmental factors in it, it makes a very central theme to our lives and lives of all other organisms on Earth. I would like to request most of you who have not yet muted their microphones to please mute the microphones. And if you need to ask questions, you could put it in the chat or raise your hand. I would like to invite Rotarian Sandeep Saxena, who is the global convener of SDG Chopal and lead CSR Action Aid Association, to introduce our key our keynote speaker today, who is Ms. Shabnam Siddiqui from the Global Compact Network, India. Over to you, Sandeep ji.
Dr. Meenakshi, thank you so much. I just got a message from Shabnam ji's office. She's joining in 5 minutes.
May I request, can I ask Ramesh Agarwal ji if you would like to talk a little bit about the WASH in India programs that have occurred this year, this few months, and
No.
and in the past 3 days, I think he has been hosting different kinds.
Okay. So, Sandeep, when is Sabnam going to join us? Or you can before she joins, maybe you can introduce her so that we can save some time, no?
Perfect, sir. So we'll do that. And
Yeah.
she's joining. She just sent a message. She's got somebody in the office. She's just joining in 5 minutes. But yes, in the meantime, we will go ahead with the introduction.
Or maybe Rameshji, I think, sir, you can start.
Ramesh, shall we start the panel already and have Shabnami give the talk after the panel?
We can do that, but the panel is going to take longer, no? Because I really don't know her schedule, whether she can wait till then. So,
Oh, may I please introduce you to the audience?
yeah, please. Then,
He is going to be he's Ramesh Agarwal, who is also the Director of Water and Sanitation Hygiene Rotary Action Group. He's the chair of WASH in Schools India Recognition Committee. He's a member of TRF WASH in Schools Committee, TRF WASH Major Gift Initiative Committee, and the TRF Cadre of Technical Advisors. He has served 2 terms as director of the Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Rotary Action Group. He joined Rotary in 1986, and he was a district governor, and he's mainly focused on this area of water and sanitation. And for the past 2 days, we've been having seminars with him where he was looking at the Major Gifts initiative for the wind in India. Over to you, Ramesh, if you would like to introduce the panel while we wait.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Meenakshi, for that wonderful introduction. As Meenakshi just mentioned, I'm past district governor Ramesh Agarwal, and she mentioned TRF many places. So TRF stands for the Rotary Foundation. This is for the benefit of our non-Rotarian friends who have joined us today. So Rotary Foundation is the charitable arm of Rotary. Whatever we do in Rotary, our service initiative are done through the Rotary Foundation. So friends, today as we celebrate the Global Water Day 2021, the objective of this the seminar is to create awareness about water and also highlight the water crisis that we face today, and also deliberate upon the intervention, the solution that we as Rotary and of course the other organizations who are part of this panel discussion today, we can provide individually, jointly, and probably sharing our vision and mission put together. So friends, we have with us Dr. Christopher, is the chair of ESRAG. ESRAG stands for Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. So he chairs that, and we have Ron Denham. He's a past district governor, and he's the chair emeritus of WASH, Water Sanitation Hygiene Rotary Action Group, and he was instrumental in founding this WASH Rotary Action Group, which has over 1,500 members today from all over the world. And we also have Mr. Nimish Shah, He's a managing director of Toilet Board Coalition. Is Mr. Nimish there? He has joined us already.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Nimishji is there.
Okay, can you highlight him so that and we also have Mr. Nixon Joseph, President and Chief Operating Officer of State Bank of India Foundation. I think
Shabnam ji has also joined.
yeah,
Shabnam ji has also joined.
Shabnam ji has joined.
Joined.
Welcome, Shabnam ji.
Yeah, let us have the keynote address, and before we do that, please introduce her briefly.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's an honor to introduce the Executive Director, Shabnam Siddiqui from the United Nations Global Compact Network India. She has been with in the industry for 25 years, an academic practitioner, a mission to unite the businesses for a better world, Masters in Sociology from India, second Masters in International Peace Studies, USA, Doctorate in Public Policy from Singapore, Chevening Rolls-Royce Innovation, Science Policy and Leadership Fellow based at SED Business School, St. Cross College, Oxford, UK, work stints in Asia, Europe, USA, and she's an amateur wildlife photographer, a biodiversity conservationist, passionate about wildlife and forests. She's also a SDG ambassador for a large initiative supported by Niti Aayog. We welcome you, Shabnam ji, on this platform. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes. So it's really an honor to be among such esteemed speakers, because I was just checking out the profile on such an important day, because as we celebrate the World Water Day, International World Water Day today, and we're talking about valuing water, we're talking about how the current perhaps price of water is not doing justice to the value of water in our lives. It's important for us to be coming together. We all know that the access to clean water is critical to human survival, and its absence can be detrimental for the health, food security, and livelihood of all species, especially the marginalized. In recent times, this natural resource has come under extreme stress in many parts of the world, especially India. Is my voice echoing to me or to everybody else?
Yes, ma'am. Echo is there.
Yeah, now it's fine. Shabnam ji, please continue.
Is it better now? Is it better
Yes,
now?
yes.
Okay, so
Please continue.
oh, sorry. Yes. So while universal while universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water for all is the focus of SDG 6, many people in India and countries like India still do not have access to improved drinking water sources and sanitation facilities. For us in India to achieve the goal of SDG 6 by 2030, it is imperative that there's a lot of investment in adequate infrastructure to increase the groundwater resources and engage in water conservation practices and improve sanitation facilities, among many other initiatives. Collectively, I think we need to raise our SDG 6 ambition and scale up initiatives to ensure that every person in India has access to water by 2030. This can only be done by applying a comprehensive strategy and working closely in partnership with many stakeholders. So this particular platform is an ideal platform in which stakeholders working across different stakeholder groups are represented. To mention briefly about the Global Compact Network India, so the United Nations Global Compact is the UN initiative for businesses, and we ensure that businesses follow the principles of human rights, environment, labor, and anti-corruption. They're committed to the principles of the Global Compact, and based on the commitment to the principles, they are geared towards working on the SDG goals. At the global level, what Global Compact has done, realizing that the climate crisis has intensified and that the world continues to grapple with consequences across every facet of life. In a post-pandemic world, which highlighted a lot of the world's challenges, making freshwater resources available is even more critical for the well-being of communities, economies, and biodiversity. Yesterday, we celebrated World Forest Day, where we are talking about how to sustainably manage our forest. Today, on the World Water Day, we're talking about valuing water. And water, we think, is where the entire climate crisis will make its greatest impact. And wherever there's a lack of water access and sanitation, coping in a post-pandemic world, it will be completely detrimental to the world. Today, 3.6 billion people worldwide live in water-stressed areas, growing to more than half the world's population by 2050. And if we were to not take any action now, the world will be using 56% more water than is sustainable by 2030. In fact, at the Global Compact, we have formed what is called the Water Resilience Coalition. And taking the theme of valuing water a bit further, we are talking about how businesses can value water. Like, what is their imperative, what is their inroads into managing water, is where we are looking at. And so the Water Resilience Coalition is a big, ambitious initiative of the United Nations Global Compact under its CEO Water Mandate. As of now, like when we started this coalition in 2020, there were 7 global corporate leaders who had joined hands to ensure consistency, to respond to the needs of communities, businesses, and natural environment, because we all depended on water. And just 1 year into the founding of the Water Resilience Coalition, from 7 we have become now 19 globe-spanning corporations with a total market value of $2.8 trillion. And what we are doing together as a coalition is launching a collective action in 11 basins in 5 countries this year. And of these 11 basins, 3 of the water basins that we are working for improved water work is in India. So the Water Resilience Coalition is an industry-driven CEO-led initiative of the United Nations Global Compact and the CEO Water Mandate that aims to preserve the world's freshwater resources through collective action in water-stressed basins, alongside ambitious quantifiable commitments. As members and partners and endorsers, we are urging all the coalition members and other businesses keen to join the coalition to sign a pledge where we are talking about 3 focused areas. One is net positive water impact, wherein we are requesting companies, mandating companies to deliver measurable net positive impact on water-stressed basins, focusing on availability, quality, and accessibility of freshwater resources. Net positive water impact is achieved when a water user's contribution exceeds its impact. So the positives, it's not only about not doing any harm, but doing more good is what the entire net positive water impact is all about. We are also looking at water resilient value chains. So how does the industry's dependence on water reduces? And we look at developing and implementing strategies to support impact-based water resilience practices across global value chains. And finally, as is required with all these initiatives, global leadership, which will raise the ambition of water resilience through public and private outreach, as well as inspire other industry leaders to join the coalition. A small step, so DIGO India is one of our Global Compact member companies, as well as signatory to the CEO Water Mandate. So along with them, what we have done is we are implementing a water stewardship project across 18 villages in the states of Maharashtra and Karnataka, focusing on improving and strengthening sustainable access to water and sanitation. The project aims to create a water replenishment capacity of 170,000 metric cubes in 6 months by building water conservation structures, afforestation activities, and construction of sanitation and drinking water facilities. We are hoping, or the estimated people that we will be impacting is around 51,000 is what we are formally committing to. We hope the numbers will be much more, and especially focused on women and children. To ensure a sustainable impact, we will also be rolling out a robust behavior change campaign, which will be undertaken with the local community as part of this project. So that it's not only about one initiative done over a specific period of time, but how does the impact of the initiative sustain over a larger time period. Finally, I just want to add here that COVID-19, as we all know, has compelled us to evolve the way we do business, as well as the way we measure impact of our sustainability initiatives. At Global Compact Network India, we are committed to long-term engagement on SDG 6 and look forward to continued engagement with both our members in this decade of action. to ensure that no one is left behind. We as the Global Compact invite businesses, invite other stakeholders to join us in the Global Impact Initiative of the CEO Water Mandate, so that we can ensure that we not only we value water, a value that is much more than its current price. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Swapnamji. It was really nice. You gave a very succinct this thing about how things are progressing in India, and also the main need of all the collaborators working together towards this goal. I hope it will have a great impact in Maharashtra and Karnataka, two of the most water-stressed, groundwater stressed areas. May I now request Rameshji to start with the panel discussion? Thank you.
Before I start the panel discussion, I have a question with Sabnamji. Sabnamji, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I'm still here.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know how we can collaborate with your organization, Global Compact Network, because the Rotary is engaged in, the similar kind of activities, and I'm going to share with that as I move forward. But how we can collaborate, because we are in the process of tying up with so many partners. We are already, UNICEF is already our partner. We are working closely with World Vision, Aga Foundation, to name a few. So we work, and Tata Trust, they have shown their interest, and at the district level, because we have got 38 revenue Rotary districts across India, and we have got the regional and the local partnership, where we work with so many, and we also get CSR funding. So I'm just wondering, before I start the panel discussion, so if you can throw some light on this.
So, like as we say, the more the merrier, because the entire premise of collective action is the very fact that people approach the challenge from multiple angles. Because when we're talking about valuing water, like for example, Global Compact is a UN initiative for businesses. So our focus area is how, because as we know that business does already cause a lot of stress on water. One is to work at two folds. How does their dependency on fresh water reduce, and how there is more recycling of water that it goes into the industrial work chains. In fact, just 2 years ago, we had done an industrial study to benchmark which industry is water intensive, how can they reduce the dependence on water, because water is a resource that needs to be shared by many other agencies. So I think for behavioral change, for taking this initiative with business and different stakeholder groups would be great. At the Global Compact level, we also have chapters across the country. So wherever we operate in terms of our physical form, also we'd love to tie up with Rotary, both to reach out to businesses as well as to civil society, the youth leaders and other partners, to come up with a combined strategy and a proper collective action. So there's a lot of potential, and we'll definitely explore in all the geographical as well as thematic areas that we can work together.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Rameshji, as a background, I just want to add one thing, that collaborating Rotary with Global Compact, I have initiated the effort with a very good friend of mine, Mr. Kamal Singh, who was earlier the ED GCNI, but due to his untimely death and COVID, it is stuck in between. So today I just came to know after Shabnamji that now she is the ED right now. So they are having an office at the UNESCO building. So we can go and meet her, and we can definitely do the collaboration and tie up with GCNI for this one.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. Certainly we'll do that. Yeah. Great. Thank you. So, friends, we would like to now begin with the panel discussion, and as already I've shared with you, we have got Dr. Christopher from ESRAG, we have Chair Emeritus Rotary Action Group, Louisa, MD, Toilet Board Coalition, and Nixon Joseph, President and Chief Operating Officer, State Bank of India Foundation. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so friends, as we all know that there is a huge water crisis across the world because 1 out of 9 people don't have access to safe drinking water. And in developing countries, 80% of the deaths are related to poor water and sanitation conditions. And 1 out of 5 deaths under the age of 5 in developing countries is due to water related diseases. Talking about schools, 40% of the schools in developing countries don't have access to improved water and sanitation. And 420 million school days are lost every year due to water related problems. And as per WHO and UNICEF, 40% of people across the world, that is approximately 3 billion, live without soap and water and are the most vulnerable and highest at the risk of being left behind in the battle against COVID-19. So there is a huge challenge. And in Indian perspective, friends, uh, India has 17% share of global population, 15% share of global livestock, and our land share is approximately 2.4%, and against the 4% global share of water resources. And talking about India's ranking, the India has been ranked 132 in terms of water availability and 122 in terms of water quality. And talking about the availability of water, in 1950, 5,177 cubic meter water was available per person per year. But in 2011, it reduced to 1545, and by 2025 it will further reduce to 1341. So you can just imagine the kind of challenge that we face today. And most of our water, you will be surprised to know that approximately 80% of water goes towards the agriculture purposes. And talking about the consumption of water in in cubic meter to produce 1 kg of crop, in India, it is 11.18 cubic meter water is required as compared to 4.78 cubic meter required in USA and 2.28 in China. So the amount of water is being, used for agriculture purposes. Not even 80, it is around 85%. So there is a huge challenge talking about the other thing that needs to be noted is in India and many countries, the focus has been on supply side management and hardware solutions. We are not focusing on grey water management. That is the huge because the component that needs to be tackled. And of course, the Ron Denham can throw some light on this. And talking about what Rotary is doing, specifically Rotary India at the global level, the Rotary has been very, very active in providing WASH interventions during the 5 years of from 2014 to 2019. The Rotary invested over 120 crores of rupees during the 5 years 2014 to 2019, and you will be surprised to know that 39% of this investment took place in Asia. And talking about India, in India, the Rotary has invested around 200 crores of rupees. That is only through global grant. Global grant is something that is controlled by Rotary Foundation, but this is just the ice of the tip of the iceberg. The actual investment is more than 5 times. In other words, the Rotary clubs in India have invested over 1,000 crores from 2014 to 2019. So you can just understand the kind of the intervention, the role that Rotary is playing. We have implemented WASH in schools in over 30,000 schools across India during last 5 years. We have built 150,000 household toilets, benefiting millions of people. We have constructed more than 150 check dams all over India. And we are also engaged in solid and liquid waste management, and so on and so forth. So taking all this into account, what our Rotary India leadership under the guidance of our incoming Rotary International President is from India, Mr. Sekhar Mehta, who is very, very dynamic, who believes in action. So we have set some lofty goals because the Rotary India decided to expand its scale and reach. And our new focus areas are going to be building 10,000 watershed structures, building 10,000 transformer and water bodies, 10,000, rainwater harvesting structures, 50,000, wash in schools in 55,000, wash in healthcare as a beginning in 500 schools, 500 healthcare facilities, providing household tap connections in 1,000 villages to be achieved by 2024, and then building household toilets, community toilets, and public toilets. So all these interventions, we strongly believe, is going to help in achieving our SDG, Sustainable Development Goals 3, which talks about the well-being of human being, SDG 5, which talks about gender equity, and SDG 6, which talks about providing equitable access to water and sanitation by 2025. So the Rotary is actively engaged. And now, but still, the challenges are there. And first of all, I would like to now invite Dr. Christopher, the chair, Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, to share his thoughts and the way forward, the challenges probably at the global level, and how because the environment and WASH, they go hand in hand. They are strong because all the areas overlaps with each other. So please throw some light on the way forward. Thank you. Christopher, Dr. Christopher, please.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you today to speak about this very, very important topic. So I come from the point of view of environmental sustainability, and I like to, that includes human welfare and resilience. And so one of the things that I think is really very important is when we talk about water, we've also got to talk about biodiversity. What biodiversity does is actually keeps the water in the land, on the land, and so it's a resource that we can continue to use. It doesn't run into a stream and run away in a polluted place and get into the seas. So one of the things I would really like to stress is if you want to keep the land healthy, you need to replant forests. You need to have trees, you need to have vegetation on the land to actually keep the water in place. So you actually regenerate your aquifers, you regenerate the water sources, the groundwater that you have. So this is a really important thing for me. I think that it's very important that we actually do think about reforestation and whether it's through a plantation for agriculture, making sure that the land is actually covered. So when it rains, the water actually stays in place. It doesn't run rapidly into a stream through a hardened surface into a polluted river that we have now. We've obviously got to clean up the rivers, but to actually be beneficial to for the future is we need to hold the water in place. Now, one of the things, of course, we've got to think about is we have hardened surfaces. So the way we do agriculture has to change somewhat. We can't, if every time we plow the land, we're actually making the water that's in the surface of the land actually evaporate more quickly. We've got to think about how we deal with that. And so some reconsideration of how we do agriculture is very important. What we put into our agriculture, the chemicals, we are obviously creating some damage with that. With putting pollutants in terms of plastics and other things that are actually creating damage to our well-being. By allowing human waste and livestock waste to go into rivers, basically destroys the potability of water. And of course, then we have around the world, we have access to clean water is now becoming an issue of peace. And so when we consider how we relate to other peoples, we may be robbing water from upstream and affecting people downstream. And so we've got to worry about that. So, and then those are biodiversity issues. I'd like to just mention a couple of circular economy issues. And where we are with circular economy is basically we are generating a lot of heat and gases from the use of fossil fuels and burning biomass. And so what this is actually doing is creating warming of our atmosphere. And therefore, very important to India is, of course, the snowpack on the Himalayas. And you're going to be losing the snowpack, and then there's less water coming down through the rivers from there. Not affecting India so much is the warming of the Arctic and the Antarctic, because the grounds in the Arctic have permafrost. And so as the permafrost disappears, we have methane released. And so methane is another gas that's going to compound the warming of the atmosphere. We have now differences in precipitation, where it's going to be raining and where it's not going to be raining. So there's the issues that are associated with that. And then not so much for central India, but so around the coast, of course, you've got ocean acidification, loss of coral reefs, loss of plankton, and loss of fisheries that then would go upstreams. The streams and rivers are polluted, so they're not being able to carry fish anyway. And of course, you've got hardening of coastlines and sea level rise, and so loss of marine areas around the coast. So just reversing back to what I see as a really very important part of the whole issue is to keep the land with moisture in it. And so this is a really very important thing. If you're going to have a resource for the future, you're going to have a place where water is kept in the soil so that you can regenerate those aquifers, so you have a long-term source of water for the future. I'll leave it there.
You're muted.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Christopher, for sharing your thoughts. Now I would like to invite Chair Emeritus WASH Rotary Action Group, Ron Denham, to share his thoughts. Ron, I think you are muted. Ron, you are muted. Sandeep.
Thank you. I was unmuted. Somebody must have muted me again. Anyway, thank you very much for that introduction. And Meenakshi, thank you for organizing this event. Good evening, all. I want to talk to you a bit about the value of water, and more particularly how we can increase the value of water. UNICEF estimates that here in India, over 5 billion hours are spent fetching water to villages, to schools, to hospitals, in fact, to every location where water is needed. And most of that is by women and girls. Imagine the outcomes if water were available at the point where it was used. Children would be able to attend classes without interrupting their studies to fetch water. Women could go to hospital to deliver their babies without fear of infection and even death. Other women, no longer having to spend all day hauling water, could engage in activities generating income for themselves and their families. tending livestock, cultivating vegetables and fruit, making garments, running small businesses, in short, transforming their lives and livelihoods. That is the true value of water, the impact on people's lives. I recall a Rotary project, District 3140, where my club was supporting the Rotary Club of Bombay Central to bring water to a tribal community north of the city. Those people depended on the monsoon rains to support the cultivation of rice, the best they could do during the short monsoon season. That Rotary Club envisaged a better future for the people. They saw an opportunity to slow down the flow of water, build gully plugs and check dams, make water available year-round. Combining that with the training in the cultivation of cash crops, they enabled that community to enjoy a steady income, transforming their lives and raising the quality of life beyond anything they could imagine. What was the value of water to those people? I recall another project in Rajasthan, where working with Rotarians under leadership of past Rotary International Director Sushil Gupta, we changed the contour of the landscape, built a pond, and after 2 years had collected sufficient water to support an entire community. Cattle and livestock thrived. The people had sufficient water for personal use, for sanitation and hygiene. How do we measure the value of year-round access to a sustainable supply of safe water to those people? A major improvement in well-being, health, and education. Too often in our society, we confuse value and price. If a commodity is expensive, it must be valuable. But if I am in the desert, dying of thirst, searching desperately for a drink, I would willingly trade a valuable diamond ring for a glass of water. So when we think of the value of water, let's ask, what is the value of the impact of having a sustainable supply of safe, potable water? Here in India, 75% of the rainwater is wasted. It flows away without providing any benefit. It has no value, but it has lots of potential for agriculture, for livestock, for supporting thousands of farming families and communities dependent on the land. It has no value to the 500 million people who lack access to safe drinking water, or to the 400 million people who have no adequate hand washing. And the consequences are predictable. 73 million working days were lost in India due to diarrheal disease alone. Many investments will enhance the value of water. The most important investment is in our people and their education. WASH in Schools is a program having potentially a huge impact on the entire country and its economic outlook. And here, I must compliment you on your achievement for that WASH in Schools program, and even more on the ambitious program to bring safe water to another 150,000 schools in the next 3 years. What is the value of water here? Rather ask, what is the value of educating our children, especially the girls, to play a truly meaningful role in society as informed citizens? As someone said, when asked about the cost of education, she replied, "Don't ask about the cost of education, ask about the cost of ignorance." Similarly, think of WASH in healthcare facilities. The mortality rate in Indian healthcare facilities is among the highest in the world. 130 mothers die for 100,000 live births. 28 newborns per 1,000 births don't survive. Adequate water and sanitation, coupled with hand washing and cleaning, would cut these numbers by half at least. How do we value those lives saved? You recognize the value of water. Your investment in managing water resources is the key to all the above goals. Recharging aquifers, enhancing the water table, building check dams and rainwater harvesting systems, enhancing irrigation systems and encouraging everyone to reduce, reuse, respect and retrieve is the key. Together, those initiatives will improve food security, raise agricultural productivity, and create rural opportunities, transforming lives for all. Everyone, especially women and children, will be healthier, better educated, and able to make more fulfilling contribution to the economic, social, and cultural fabric of the country. That is the true value of water. Thank you very much.
Ramesh, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Ron, for your wonderful address and focusing on value of impact. And the value of water certainly means value of impact. The impact that we are able to create, in this world. Now, I would like to invite Nimisa, Managing Director, Toilet Board Coalition. Nimishji, are you there?
Yeah, I'm
please.
here.
Share your thoughts.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Thank you, and I must thank especially Sandeep for having me here. It's a wonderful occasion to see so many Rotarians commit and Rotary's commitment to the water sanitation and hygiene. I have never interacted with this group before, so it's a privilege and pleasure to be here. Toilet Board Coalition is a coalition of private sector partners who want to improve lives and help achieve SDG 6. And in that context, I would like to share some thinking around valuing water. Some things that can be practically done, considered, and scaled up. One of the things that we often find is that we tend to treat grey water as a useless commodity, even though what extraneous matter present in grey water is only at a ppm level. It is almost like you generally Indian prefer 22 karat gold, but when they cannot afford it, they buy 18 karat gold, right? Now, what is 18 karat gold? 18 karat gold has somewhat higher amount of impurities compared to gold. Similarly, grey water is nothing but pure water with some amount of impurities. And therefore, it cannot be simply thrown away, but with adequate treatment and precautions, it can become a valuable resource. So I think I want to, using this parallel, I just want to impress upon all the esteemed panelists here that grey water certainly is a valuable resource, and that should not be thrown away the manner in which it is happening today. The second point I want to make is that don't convert grey water into black water. Now here, let me tell you, the way India is rapidly urbanizing and more apartments and multi-story buildings are made, what we wrongfully do is that in a particular unit, finally, we mix the grey water with the black water. Yeah. And that creates a huge challenge downstream in treating it. Yeah. I'll give you the maths around it. One individual uses approximately 100 to 150 liters of water. Yeah. But produces only about 3 kgs of human waste. Now, if this 3 kgs of human waste was not mixed into the 150 liters of water that he or she is producing per day, then that water would have had a 60% less treatment burden. Yeah. So gray water can be treated with 60% less energy, 60% less chemicals as compared to black water. So the sheer act of mixing black water into gray water increases its treatment burden by almost as high as 60%, which is incorrect just because we are adding 3% human waste load into the gray water. So that is my point number 2. Point number 3 is that, again, as we stay in large apartment complexes and multi-storied buildings, for transporting water to home is not only matter of transporting water, it is also the energy consumption associated with it. So every liter of water saved is a liter less, 1 liter less of water pumped, and therefore less amount of energy consumed. So therefore, valuing gray water, not mixing black water with gray water, and thirdly, considering that each liter of water pumped is consuming energy, will go a long way in our valuing water for domestic use. And I'm focusing on domestic water consumption today. Of course, other speakers have talked about the macro factors relating to water for agriculture and preserving large bodies of water. Now, coming to that, one of the initiatives, I stay in Bangalore, and Bangalore city about 50 years ago had about 400 water bodies in the forms of lake. It still is called the lake city of India because we still have about 80-90 lakes surviving out of the few hundred that were there. One of the aims of the rejuvenation that is happening for water bodies across India is that these lakes are getting converted into recreational spots, so that birds can be in there. There are nice walkways around it, there is grass around it, and it becomes a nice place for people to walk. However, the water in that, which was once about 50-70 years ago, was used for potable uses, now no longer can be used. Yeah. So the efforts of restoration has been mainly for recreational purposes and not improving water security. One of the things therefore needs to be considered very seriously is how can we move the needle from recreational water body restoration to those restoration that improves the water security. So I think that is required. And my last point is that any effort in water conservation at home is crucial, important for all the reasons that I have already spelled out. Just this morning, Toilet Board Coalition, along with its partner Hindustan Unilever, as well as with Invest India and Agni, we have launched a national challenge for water conservation. This challenge is about designing a mechanical flush for squat latrine, which consumes only 2.5 liters of water. If such an innovation comes to play in India and is scaled up, it can save billions of liters of water, because current water consumption in flush toilets, which are squat or Western type, is at least 8 liters per use. Yeah. So we have thrown up a challenge in terms of valuing water by challenging people to develop and design a system for squat latrines, which is a typical Indian latrine, which uses only 2.5 liters per flush. So these are some of the things we are doing, and happy to be associated and partnering with Rotary and other organizations like SDG Chopal going ahead on this very crucial initiative for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nimishji, for sharing your thoughts on this year's theme. And you are 100% right, because 80% of wastewater globally flows back into the ecosystem without being treated. or reuse. And India, there is a challenge. Only 37% of our wastewater gets treated. Only 22,963 million liters per day. Against the generation of 61,754 MLD. So there is a lot of scope, and you also very good thought that if we can reduce the uses of water in the toilets. So these are some of the ideas. You have given us a very good ideas. And now I would like to invite Mr. Nixon Joseph, President and COO of State Bank of India Foundation. Mr. Nixon, please.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Rotary and SDG Chapter, especially Mr. Sandeep Saxena, for inviting me to this discussion. I feel it's a great honor to be along with all the esteemed panelists. World Water Day is about what water means to people, its true value, and how we can better protect this vital resource. All of us know water is the lifeblood of humanity. With it, communities thrive. But when the supply and demand of fresh water are misaligned, delicate environmental, social, and financial ecosystems on which we all rely are at risk. Climate change, demographic shifts, and explosive economic growth all exacerbate the existing water issues. Water is as important to world economy as oil or data. With growing population rates and such a small percentage of all the water on earth fit for consumption, it only makes sense that we must preserve and conserve this precious resource. Since each of us depends on water to sustain life, it's our responsibility to learn more about water conservation and how we can help our sources pure and safe for generations to come. This means water conservation is not a job that is reserved for scientists, hydrologists, foresters, wildlife managers, city planners, farmers alone. Instead, it is up to each and every one of us to conserve water. We can all make changes in our lifestyles to reduce our water usage. The trick is making water conservation a way of life, not just something we think about once in a while. The theme of World Water Day is valuing water. The value is water is about much more than its price. Water has enormous value for our households, food, culture, health, education, economics, and the integrity of our natural environment. If we overlook any of these values, we risk mismanaging this finite, irreplaceable resource. SDG 6 is to ensure water and sanitation for all. Without a comprehensive understanding of water's true value, we will be unable to safeguard this critical resource for the benefit of everyone. So getting to know the true value of water should become everyone's business. And SDG 6 is vital for progress on all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It's therefore no accident that the UN has declared the next 10 years the decade for water action. And it's for everyone, you and I, to see that action is taken during this decade. The time must come for us to invest in valuing water. Very often, no one thinks twice about using water, and that leads to bad decisions in spatial planning and infrastructure, in urban planning and industrial development, in households, etc. It even leads, for instance, to farmers pumping up so much water for irrigation that people down the road don't have enough drinking water. One solution is to put a value on water in all its dimensions, and for all stakeholders. We have until 2030 to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. That is almost 3,650 days more to build a water secure world together. What I see is that there are a lot of challenges in achieving these Sustainable Development Goals. I'll just mention a few of them. And I see that while there are interventions to face these challenges, there are also a lot of business opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities for employment also when we consider providing a water secure world. One of the challenges I found is that the current infrastructure in the sector is insufficient to meet with the growing socio-economic developments. So a lot of investment is required to upgrade the infrastructure so as to provide drinking water to both urban and rural areas. Most utilities are not operating efficiently due to poor infrastructure maintenance, lack of rehabilitation and retrofitting, and contamination or depletion of groundwater resource. There is a serious need for improving water efficiency for irrigation infrastructure in India. And India being one of the largest groundwater users in the world, there is a need to focus on efficient groundwater management technologies. There is need for a long-term planning for identifying alternate sources of water, coupled with adoption of efficient water treatment technologies. Reuse of treated water is essential for sustainable water management. Pricing is a key factor affecting the water situation in India. Water services are heavily subsidized by every government, leading to more consumption and wasteful utilization. Another area is a funding gap in the sector to meet the challenges of the increasing demand of the growing population, urbanization, climate change, and pollution. This warrants for innovation in business as well as financing models. Lack of data pertaining to the source and user consumption affects governance and decision making. So there is a need for smart and technology-aided water management systems. I would like to mention here that as these are challenges being faced in providing a water secure world. As I told earlier, there are also a lot of opportunities for innovators, for startups to come into this sector. There is scope for a lot of public-private participation. There is also scope for a lot of corporate social responsibility interventions. There is scope for Rotary and CSR foundations to come together. So there are a lot of opportunities in this sector while we aim to achieve SDG 6. At this juncture, I would also mention about the interventions taken by SBI Foundation in providing water access to the remote villages. We have adopted 50 villages in remote areas in India and taken initiatives to provide water to them. And I have much pride in telling that in all these 50 villages, we have provided water ATMs, RO plants, water hand pumps, and strengthening household tap water supply systems. We have taken steps in water conservation in villages for farming, for domestic needs. We have taken the initiative of rejuvenation of ponds, repair and recharge of wells, and construction of dohas, that is small water reservoirs. So the water bodies are maintained by the community members themselves. And that is an innovation which we have made. Like we have provided access to water. We have rejuvenated the water systems there, but we have also seen that the community takes ownership of these and maintain them. So these are the steps we have taken for providing sustainable water supply in our adopted villages. I end my talk by telling that there are a lot of opportunities for Rotary as well as CSR foundations to intervene in this sector so that we can take enough steps to achieve the SDG 6. Thank you.
Rameshji, you are unmute.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Nixon, for focusing on the value of water, optimization of water uses, grey water management, and management of groundwater resources and funding gap. So that is a huge challenge. So now we would like to have question and answer session. In case somebody has any question, if you can enable the chat, please. And also, if somebody would like to ask any question, you can raise your hand, and we'll ask one of the speakers to respond to those questions. Sandeep ji, we got to enable the chat because there will be questions coming through chat also.
Yeah, it's open now. You can please unmute and ask the question.
I would like to ask one question if I'm allowed.
Yeah, please go ahead, Lata ji. Yeah.
Yes, I am Lata Jha from Rotary Club of Mumbai, Bhandup, District 3141. My question is, nowadays so many talks are going on, or so many solutions are being found out in terms of treating the grey water or the wastewater. It requires high amount of money, and the water quality at the end what we get is also compromised. So rather than that, I mean, we should focus on that, but why aren't we giving our focus to rainwater recharge, which is in terms of cost is cost effective, as well as we are getting the best quality of water for consumption. So our treatment cost also we can save. So please, I want this. I would like to know on this.
Okay. But Lataji, there is a huge focus on water conservation. Not only, of course, the Rotary is giving its, the due focus, but the government of India itself. Today, our Honorable Prime Minister has launched Catch the Rain campaign, where it falls and when it falls. The focus is again on rainwater harvesting, rejuvenation of water bodies, and watersheds development. So today only in the morning he has launched this, and there was a message for each one of us that we got to conserve water and save whatever we can and focus on recharging, putting water back to the aquifers. So I would like to a question to one of the panelists can throw some light on this. Why in India there is so much of focus on supply and infrastructure development, and there is a little focus on grey water management? Why is this happening? Because Jal Jeevan Mission also talks about providing household tap connections and other schemes, but there is hardly, except this Catch the Rain scheme launched by the government of India today only. But there has been no focus on grey water management, and I think that will certainly going to help us in reducing the gap between the demand and supply.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Nixon, would you like to respond to this?
I think Mr. Nimish can put light on this fact.
Yeah.
Ron.
Maybe Mr. Nimish is there.
Nimish is there. Yeah, Nixon ji is there now.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
I'm not
go.
expert in this sector, but then from what I understand is that why we focus on infrastructure is that access of drinking water, clean drinking water is a dream for many in India, and therefore the primary focus is providing water to them. Therefore, grey water management is occupying a secondary position because the main focus is providing clean drinking water to everyone, and therefore it is thought that when we invest in infrastructure, etc., this will be easily achieved. This is what I understand about it. I think some other panelists may be able to throw more light on this.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Nixon. I agree with you. Also, just an additional build is that the grey water recycling thing is perhaps not yet fully understood from the consumer use point of view as well as from the end applications point of view. If you look at a household which lives in water stress, they do some grey water reuse in any case. For example, it is quite common practice that the water that is used for mopping the house eventually gets used to clean the toilet, yeah, by adding some detergent. Yeah, so inherently we have some practices that are about utilizing the grey water for some downstream use. However, the use of it at bulk scale is prevented only because what happens is that the grey water becomes black water. If we were to institutionalize by virtue of law that any new buildings come up, then they should have separate grey water and black water lines as far as discharge is concerned. Then the grey water volume will be substantial, and that would be amenable to use of technology at a low cost per liter for bringing into reuse. In fact, the apartment where I stay, we are already reusing black water that has been recycled, but only in flush. So I made a proposal to my apartment is that if you were to separate only grey water and reuse that would, you can perhaps use it in your bathing, your kitchen, and many other uses except drinking water. So it is possible, but you need right kind of positioning at the policy level to make grey water use possible.
Good evening. I am Chandrasekhara from Rotary Club of Navi Mumbai Sunrise. I think one of the panelists, I think it was Ron, who mentioned that most of the water, about 60-65% of the rainwater goes into the sea. So how do we catch that water and make use of it to replenish the groundwater and use it for agriculture or irrigation, and also it can be used for supplying to the cities from where it is. And second thing is that with talk of reforestation, the trees we are planting trees, but what trees do not stop the water from flowing to the sea. So it is the shrub-like plantation which is going to stop the water from flowing, and it will replenish the groundwater. So these are the two important factors which need to be considered. Grey water treatment is only a very small portion of the total water requirement of the country, and it is not such a great thing because it is the people in the cities who are wasting water rather than the people in the rural area where there is a lot of scarcity. If you go to a village, the amount of water used by each individual is much less than what the city dwellers are using. So we should concentrate more on preserving rainwater and replenishing groundwater rather than treating grey water in the cities. Thank you.
Is there any other question if anybody else would like to ask?
In line of this groundwater, I would like to say that 96% of the groundwater we are consuming, and the groundwater levels are going very depleting very fast, and it's creating a lot of problems. There are chances of seawater infiltration, so we must concentrate on that. which is what I feel. Because I go to many conferences and I hear from many experts, those who are concentratedly working on water audits and groundwater audits and groundwater management. So as far as groundwater is concerned, I'm really worried about it, that it's depleting very fast and we have so much of rain. We can collect it and send it to bird. We can raise the water table like anything. With very simple techniques and huge amount of water we can collect and we can send to the aquifers and we can replenish the groundwater table, which is in high use. The maximum use of water is being done through groundwater only. So we must think in that line also. Thank you.
Yes, you are absolutely right, Lata ji.
Sangram Joshi,
Please unmute.
District 3142.
I am Rotarian Panigrahi from district.
Panigrahi, please let me respond to what Lataji has just said. Lataji, let me again repeat that our Rotary India leadership, we have launched various initiatives like rainwater harvesting, rejuvenation of water bodies, and watersheds management. So we are all talking about capturing the rain, where it falls and when it falls. So there is a tremendous focus. And the household tap connection, the Jal Jeevan Mission, again, the focus is on reusing, recycling the water and putting water back to use so that there is a minimum wastage of water. So all these initiatives are being attempted just to address this. Panigrahi, your question.
Actually, I am involved in rainwater harvesting services last 20 years. So I assume in a 100 square meter area and 1200 mm rainfall, we have collect 1,20,000 liter of rainwater. So a very cost effective technique I have developed. Only 3 feet dia and 8 feet depth a recharge well we construct any house, and all the rainwater from rooftop collected from rooftop and that rainwater directly insert into that recharge well, and in recharge well different filter media is there. So all the water goes inside the aquifer. So this is a very cost effective method and very common method. So we adopt a lot of things. So I advocacy to this technique in Rotary India Water Mission also. And I have installed more than 100 schools in WASH school also this type of rainwater harvesting systems.
Great. Thank you. Very good idea. But only thing is, how many people are ready to have, rainwater harvesting structures installed? In Delhi, I can see now in Delhi, it is mandated that every house, the house that you build has to have a rainwater harvesting structure. But, just for the namesake, they will just construct, a small tank and put a 6-inch pipe that will just go up to 10 feet or to 20 feet, and that's all. So for the namesake, people do it just to obtain occupancy certificate until unless we understand the importance of water conservation, and it is everybody's responsibility to ensure that we are able to conserve whatever we can. And the best way is to begin with installing rainwater harvesting structures in our own premises. And we as Rotarians must be taking a lead. We should lead by example and ensure that each of our the premises have rainwater harvesting.
This is Surya Narayan from Navi Mumbai Sunrise 3142. I was very much interested with what President Panigrahi was speaking. So I would like to have his coordinate so that I can be in touch with him to get the ideas for our own housing apartments.
Yes,
yeah.
Sure, sir, sure.
Any other question from anybody?
Yeah, one more.
Yes, sir.
One more question. Hello. May I state one more impact or what it has a lot of things to do with the water consumption is that psychologically when we have an electricity supply at the large apartments, I'm talking of the cities, particularly urban levels, I don't know what is the extent of individual meters in case of water meters. Every flat should have a water metering device so that everybody is responsible for the water they are consuming. Is this concept likely to catch up in our cities, particularly Indian cities? I don't know about other cities, but I think the Indian cities, urban districts, can it be this thing? I know Bangalore has done quite a good job. In large new constructions, I think they have individual water meters. But I don't find it even a city like Mumbai, where there is a terrible water supply. Will this water?
Okay, in Delhi, everybody has to have, for individual flat, there got to be individual meter.
Okay.
Let me clarify on this. In many cities, this is happening, and in Delhi, the water is very expensive. In my own case, I end up paying 5,000 to 10,000 rupees every month. And for commercial, it is 3 times. So big cities already, these departments are charging, good amount of money. So that is there. But in housing complexes, maybe they don't have that scheme because there are so many flats involved. But in Delhi or in Mumbai also, for individual house, individual floor, there is a separate connection. So that is already.
Metering devices are not there, especially in constructions which have happened in the last 10 years, 15 years, or even 5 years, for example. So then how do you deal with, because they are a large portion of the accommodation which is existing. New constructions are not that proportion probably, but definitely numbers will be much more as we go forward. So how do we do it for the existing apartments and large societies?
Good.
Vanshika wants to say something. Please, Vanshika, go ahead.
For this opportunity.
A very good evening to all the panelists and all the attendees of the meeting. This is Vanshika Chaturvedi from the Rotary Club of United Ranchi, RID 3250. There is a question regarding the thing that I see around me. Everybody these days wants to use purified water, and most of us have installed water purifiers at home. And there is one thing that pinches me about those water purifiers, that is, there is a large amount of reject water that is wasted. There are very few people who actually put it to use, but most of the water just runs off in the drains. So what can we do to reduce the amount of reject water that is being wasted?
Great, very good question. Very good question. Because in India, you will be surprised that we don't call water purifier. We say RO. This is a commonly used term. But this reverse osmosis system that we provide, there is a 60 to 70% wastage of water. And we don't try to understand that everywhere you don't need to provide RO. A normal water purifier will do the job, where the wastage is not even 1%. There is no wastage at all. In Delhi, I have seen many people in schools where we are working, government schools, the awareness level is so low, they have provided reverse osmosis, which is not required at all, which is very, very expensive. Annual maintenance cost is very high. And when we told them, apprised them, they were shocked. They did not know, because this company is also promoting reverse osmosis because they are minting money through this. The initial cost is very high, and the annual maintenance cost is almost the cost of a RO filter. So there is a need to create awareness. This is where the Rotary clubs can play a pivotal role. Send a message that please ensure, first check the TDS level. The TDS level up to the extent of 500, you can have a normal water filter. Because what happens in Delhi, I can give you an example. In Delhi, we get well-treated water. The TDS level is 100 to 150. And when you install RO in your house, what happens? That will reduce the TDS to the extent of 90%. So that means 150 TDS level, the water is, you are getting water at TDS 150, it gets reduced to say 20. That is dangerous for our health. So the message has to be sent. In Ranchi, I'm sure the authority must be supplying a treated water. So please ensure that we go for a normal water filter wherever possible. So wherever there is no possibility, then of course we have to go for RO. There is no other way out. But wherever RO is being supplied at the community level, there is a need to focus on recycling and reuse of water. Thank you. Sangram wanted Sangram Joshi.
So much. Thank you so much. My name is Sangram Joshi. I'm from RI District 3142, Thane. My question was that if in Rotary we take up this topic of leaking taps, the leaking taps in urban areas, according to me, is a major water wastage area. And a campaign like we have a campaign for polio, we are this close. So same campaign if we use for aerators in the kitchen area, the two-pronged question. The one is about the leaking taps, and the second is about using aerators on the kitchen sinks. And we say that use this as a from our end polio. Now we are this far from polio. We just make it our hand into this position and say that use an aerator in kitchen. And if Rotary clubs and Rotractors particularly engage into flash mobs, dances across at different railway stations, at different bus stations, of course post-COVID, then these are the things which we can use to promote the use of aerators and across different apartments. And our same theme of membership, where we say each one bring one or each one retain one, that the same theme can be applied to each one reach out to 10 for the use of water storage and non-wastage. Thank you.
Great. The use of aerators is a part of our Jal Jeevan mission. We have already decided on this initiative, and the leakage of water. When we talk about that, once I don't know whether in Mumbai individual household water meters have been provided or not, because I don't know why this has not happened in Mumbai. Other places like Delhi, we have got individual meter. And people are worried when somebody gets 20,000 a month bill, then he starts checking each and every joints to ensure that there is no leakage. So this has happened. So that is another way. But we got to understand the water crisis at the broader level. 85% of our water goes towards agricultural use. So this is where the interventions are required. Because 15% rest of the areas, only 15%, 85% is going towards agriculture. And there is a huge lot of wastage of water. 80% of wastewater, because whatever we irrigate and after that it gets converted into wastewater, and that gets back into ecosystem aquifers without being treated. So the focus now, the government of India is focusing on this broader issue, and that is why they have come out with the Sahi Fasal initiative launched by Government of India a couple of years back to ensure that, let us try to optimize the use of water and choose the crop accordingly where the per kg consumption is low. In the beginning, as I told you that to grow 1 kg of crop in India, the consumption is about 12 cubic meter of water, as compared to around 2 cubic meter of water in China and around 5 in USA. So this is where we got to focus on. This is where the government of India is also focusing.
Can I comment, Nimish Shah here? Just add on comment.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. On the water wastage thing, both from the RO point of view as well as the leaky taps that was said. Yes, both need to be arrested and both need to be addressed. But one thing my research has indicated over the last 10 years or so is that the water wasted at household level is one thing, but right from the source till the water reaches the household, there is a wastage due to the faulty, non-standard, leaky pipelines to the extent of 50% of the city's entire water volume available. Yeah. So I definitely, what needs to be done at the household level is a matter of consumer education and making them more and more aware, and this kind of metering will help definitely. But at the same time, majority or a very, very large volume of water is wasted during transport, and that needs to be addressed at far more criticality as compared to if one has to prioritize, then that needs more priority, I would say.
Yeah. Fully agree with you, and not only the water wastage, but also the contamination of water. So that is another challenge comes in, when there is a leakage in the pipe supply. Okay, there was another question from some gentleman. He had raised his hand.
Yes, my name is Parthasarathy. I am from 3232 Rotary Club of Minambakam, and I am a retired professor of biotechnology, and I was working on for the past 20 years in the field of water management and pollution and this one. This one is that we have dispensed away with the open wells, which is a source previously to maintain not only our groundwater levels, and also easily available source from the rainwater. So we need to suggest to have more open wells inside the this one, wherever it is possible, wherever the aquifers comes into the contact. I think that will be a good solution to improve the water table as well as the source of water. And water harvesting can be done easily with the open wells. That is one thing. Secondly, the biological system requires your grey water. So grey water, if you want to mix, if you do without mixing the grey water, your biological system requires more energy. So the concept of not mixing the grey water with the other waste is not correct, and it requires the biological system requires sufficient water and also less energy if you are going to do the mixing of the grey water with this. These are my 2 points. And thirdly, if you are going to look for a agriculture water wastage and maintenance, what you need to do is the polymer addition. There are a lot of biopolymers are available, which will improve the density of and the transportation of your nutrients. So addition of biological polymers will decrease your water requirement in the agriculture fields. So this is what I thought I will give us insight.
PDG Shah Bilawar, please.
Yes.
Good morning, and congratulations to all of you on a great conference this morning about water. As we notice in the world, the salinity of water is increasing around, not in countries, India only, around the world, and that affects the food chain in the world. What is a good solution in your eyes would be to mitigate that problem?
Shah, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, Ron, can you respond to this question? Ron, you got to unmute yourself.
That's right. Shan, could you just repeat? I heard your question, but just with the very point you were making, Shan.
Point I'm making is that the salinity, the salt in the water is rising, and that affects the crops and the food chain in the world. What could be done about that?
About removing the salinity in the water?
Yes.
I wasn't sure, Sam, you were concerned about the rising salinity in the water or the impact of the salinity on the agricultural sector?
Yes.
No. So which part of the which was the issue you were raising?
I'm raising the issue that sometimes the crops, like when you irrigate crops and the salinity is high, the leaves of the crop are burning because of the salinity of the water. What could be a solution for that kind of situations in the world, or what are we doing to resolve that part of the issues in the world?
Yeah, when you say we, I'm not sure who the we is that you refer to there, but I was involved in a project in Lake Manzala in Egypt a number of years ago, and that was a lake which was brackish water. It was a mix of water coming down the Nile together with the water from the Mediterranean that was coming in there. And there was a type of grass that we could use that would thrive very well in that brackish water. And that helped, first of all, it helped fix the soil, prevent the erosion, and it gradually converted so that could eventually move from aquaculture to agriculture. But that was about a 10-year process. In North America, I think we've got to start at probably, removing some of the salt from the water, changing the source of water. Now, of course, we're using a lot of aquifer water, groundwater in the United States, particularly for our golf courses and so forth. Quite a waste. I'm not sure, though, what is being done or what can be done about that salinity. Maybe Dr. Paddock has some thoughts of that from the university world.
Okay, so let me say the grass you're talking about was Spirobolus. It's a salt grass. Yep. And I think the question that the sub is getting towards is where you change the water table and you're bringing the salt that's actually in the soil to the surface. And this actually does cause problems. It has happened in Australia, particularly in the Murray Basin, where they were growing a lot of rice and the areas became unusable because of the way they're irrigating and brought the salt to the surface, and therefore the lands became unusable. And so they had to find some other solutions to actually reverse that. And so using something like Spirobolus, which is actually it's a shore grass around most of the coastal temperate areas of the world and into the tropics as well. But there are biological solutions to it, and so you could use some by collecting the salt. You can actually put it through. Well, you could actually use in those areas. You could gather the salt and use that for salt collection rather than agriculture until you remove the salt from the soil profile. But once you've damaged the soil profile like that, you've got to start recreating, and it takes a very long time to reverse the damage. I hope that gets somewhere towards answering your question.
Thank you so much. I think we have a challenge of time, so we got to close this panel discussion. And I would like to request past President Brijesh Mathur for his formal vote of thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Rameshji. Thanks for providing me this opportunity of thanking such a pleasant members who discussed this important aspect on World Water Day. But on behalf of ESRAG South Asia, first of all, I would like to thank PDG Ramesh Agarwal ji for accepting my view of collaborating WASHRAG and ESRAG together for the first time for such an important day of World Water Day. And hopefully we will do some more programs together, as by today's discussion, as emphasized by Dr. Christopher also, that WASHRAG and ASRAG can go by hand in hand together. So thank you, sir, for allowing us, and my special thanks to Rotarian Sandeep and our ESRAG South Asia Chair Meenakshi ji for organizing the event and doing all the acts so that the event can be accomplished in such a smooth manner. So on a session, as usual, I always say that Sri Ramesh Agarwal ji is like a Bible on SRAG, WASRAG. So that he can explain very clearly all activities of WASRAG, what happened, what are the activities, and you must have also seen by the cubic meter he was explaining about the water shortage and everything over there. Thank you, sir, for such a phenomenal session and awareness you have created in our mind regarding the water intensity and utility. In absentia, I would like to thank Ms. Shabnam Siddiqui, ED of GCNI, for enlightening us with the SDG 6 and the goals of GCNI. And very shortly, we can meet her and discuss about the collaboration of Rotary and GCNI, which they will agree, that's for sure. And I'm thankful to Dr. Christopher for being part of this webinar. And sir, very rightly, as you stressed upon the relation of environment, biodiversity, and water resources, whereby we can analyze that water and environment work together and go hand in hand. And on this, I would like to request Sri Ramesh Agarwal ji and Ron Denham, that I think we should collaborate with ASRAG. I am also member of WASRAG also and ASRAG, both. I'm member of both organizations. So we should do a lot of programs together to emphasize on the importance of environment and also water. Thank you, Dr. Christopher, for your enlightening views on that. And next, Chairman Ron, as I've met you several times, and in Atlanta also, in conventions, and in India also, when you glad us being part over here in our district conference. So it's always nice to listen to you. And today also you have stressed upon the conservation of water and focus on the role of Rotary for creating and enhancing the value of water. And more importantly, we should think about not about the value of water, about the value of impact which we can have if there is a shortage of water. Thank you, sir, for such guiding words. And later on to our partners, Mr. Nimish Shah from Toilet Board. It's good that you have created awareness regarding the use of the grey water and how it can be converted to a valuable resource. And very rightly you said, sir, that we should not convert grey water into black water and should not mix with it. We need more presence of viewers in our WASRAG and ASRAG seminars. And later on, when we start physical meetings, then the seminar, and right now the webinars, so that the emphasis can be, we can more emphasis on the shortages of water and how to conserve the water in this, and to preserve and to conserve the environment also. Thank you, sir, for being part of this session. And now I would like to express my thanks to Mr. Nixon Joseph, who is the president of SBI Foundation. Sir, I think for the first time you are part of our this, webinar on ASRAG. I am not aware of the WASHRAG webinar, but ASRAG is the first time. And I'm sure with you we can do a lot of activities for conserving the environment. And we'll call you more times and maybe disturb you more times to be part of our webinars and support us and guide us. And Rotary will definitely join hands with you for this work. Thank you, sir. And lastly, I would thankful to all the participants and members, and along with for attending this session and that too till the end, and 1.5 hour session. Though we mentioned it 1 hour, so it's just to 1.5 hours, but everyone is here. So I'm thankful to all the members and participants of the webinar, along with all our partners association like WASRAG, UNGCNI, Rotaract clubs, who actively took part in it, and Manisha, who designs all the brochures and everything. Manisha, keep it up. But the presence should be more of from Rotaractors next time. And I'm thankful to Nagrik Foundation also, SDG Chopal, Toilet Board Coalition, Just a Drop, and SBI Foundation. Thanks to all of you for being part of this webinar, and hope to see you again in all our webinars whenever we do that. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone. Now over to Meenakshi ji, Chair South Asia.
Sir, may I ask one question?
Yeah.
Myself, Nagjyoti Bolla Pragada. I am a MTech Environment Engineer and working with the Environment Protection Research Foundation. I am from District 3170. Mainly, everyone today is believing the RO water drinking, sir. And RO water drinking is not at all good for the health, as well as there is a pollutional level also. Actually, reverse osmosis is the technology we are using for the industry. But nowadays, it has reached to the common people also. And where the RO water treatment is not available at local level, sir. There is no treatment for the wastewater. So can we, when the time comes that directly tap water we are able to drink, tap water is available everywhere in the urban areas, but the people, they are more relying on the RO water. And RO water, everybody knows that in future that is affecting the health.
Yeah,
because there are very less minerals in it.
Yeah, Mr. PDG Ramesh Agarwalji has already informed us about the impact of RO water and when we should use the RO water and when we should not use the RO water. And for your next question, I think Ramesh ji, you can guide her better.
So, what was that question? Can you repeat that?
I just want to ask that when the time comes that we are going to rely on the directly tap water, we are able to drink. Now everyone is drinking RO water only, and RO water is not at all good for the health, as well as it is having another pollutional level, and there is no proper treatment available at the local level. But in industry, there are the treatment, effluent treatment plant is over there.
See, as per the government of India, as per the Jal Jeevan Mission, every household will have a safe drinking water available. So let us wait till 2024. And by this time, they have already covered 7 crore households have already been covered. So out of 18.75, the lakhs household, they have already covered 7 lakhs household, not 7 crores, sorry, 7 lakhs household. So I think by 2024, certainly we will have a safe drinking water. Again, maybe we may have to go for a local, simple water filter, but certainly we will not be requiring reverse osmosis.
Shall we hope that in future the RO water will be banned?
Well, I don't know why the government is not trying to do that. I don't know, because all this, the water purifier segment, the players have their vested interest. So this is not being promoted in a big way as it should have been. But you just, Google, YouTube, and you will find so many such videos, which discourage the use of reverse osmosis, the ROs. But somehow government is not mandating, that it is not required and not putting in place certain guidelines and restrictions. So I don't know why this is not happening. Should have happened.
Thank you so much, sir.
And thank you, Ramesh ji, for
I think we got to
fielding all
close the meeting
questions.
now.
Yeah, and thank you, Sandeep, for helping us form this panel. And thank you all. I hope we'll keep the momentum going in doing collaborative projects all around the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.